I am pulling my notes and pulling my hair. Because, frankly, it's like herding cats around here. I say that in jest, of course, because my wonderful players are wonderful human beings, and every now and again I get stressed out. But I also get stressed out about a great many number of things. Great many. Yeah, you know what I meant to say. At any
Thank
rate,
you for
I
those
am
kind
OR
words.
Krieg. This is Rogue Trader. Let me try that again. Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, Tithes of Acheron, Segmentum 4th, Episode 9. And with me, of course, are my wonderful Grimdark players, Rev, Darius, Warner, and Alterios. And I totally went in a weird order. I hope you'll forgive. It has been. Oh no, we played last week, didn't we? Right?
I believe
It's
so.
been a long week, but yeah.
It's definitely been a handful of days have been weird. But oh boy, let's take a moment and check in with everybody, see how things are going, and see what's new and exciting for our wonderful Grimdark players. Rev, what's new and exciting for you? And for the viewers, don't get alarmed when I reorganize the Zoom screen because
Your misnumbering is going in the Great Book of Grudges.
I misnumbered something.
You said you've read the names out of order.
You know what? As it turns out, I may have even read the numbers in the correct order based on where everybody was on the screen at the time.
It's still going in the book.
I put it in the book. I'll live. I'm pretty sure I've already got entries in the book.
Several.
Quite a few.
Anyway, I have been fighting with. There's several issues that need to be fixed around the house that I was sort of beating myself that I couldn't fix. And then it turns out I hired a professional to come do it. He did exactly the same thing that I did and said he can't fix it, and then charged me almost $100 for it.
Charged you $100 for accomplishing exactly nothing. I should not be laughing at your misfortune. I find it amusing, this scenario, not so much that you had to.
Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the last straw with this particular service company, and so I spent a lot of the day fielding fielding phone calls and asking for estimates and arranging appointments.
What a wonderful way to spend your day.
Mm-hmm.
On the phone, trying to get shit accomplished. I hate those guys. I'd much rather just sit on my butt and play. Darius, speaking of sitting on your butt and playing video games all day, which I have no idea what kind of connection that has for you. What's new and exciting for you?
Just went to the Forge Tavern earlier. Was playing games.
So you were actually sitting on your butt playing games all day.
Yep.
Okay, dodged a bullet.
Just not video games.
You know what? You win some, you lose some.
But that's about the only new thing in my life right now.
No, is it? I think there's something else, but let's let Alterios chime in with what might be new and exciting for him first.
Nothing really. I'm not really sure where that one was going. But no, nothing really going on.
Well, I'll take care of it. But otherwise, status quo ad nominum for you there. I don't know what the hell I just.
So plug from my mother's industry. Hey folks, if you haven't gotten your taxes done, consider TurboTax with several different packages ranging from do-it-yourself to having a professional handle it for you. TurboTax.
It is that time of year.
It very much is.
Warner, what's new and exciting for you?
Little enough. I still haven't heard back from the organization that my buddy's trying to get me a job with. He told me on Sunday, he said that boss has seen your resume. He likes it. He wants to get you in. But apparently the recruiter can't find your application. And when they had me fill it out again, I tried to fill it out again, and it said, you have already applied for this position. So I screenshotted that and sent it.
That is absolutely a way to submit an application. All bullshit aside, I hope it works out.
I hope
Honestly,
so too.
it sounds like the recruiter wants somebody else and is just trying to mess with everybody else.
It's a
mean-
possibility.
Yeah, but you know what? He's not the boss. Dang. Also, I don't know how any of this organization works at all. I really don't have much to stand on.
Warner, did the same song pop into your head as it did mine when he said, "Well, he's not the boss"?
I definitely hear me now. I don't know what I'm saying. Go for it.
The one that pops into my head immediately is the theme song from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
You're not the boss of me now, and you're
Yep.
not so big. Life is unfair.
Yeah, that was what popped into my head. I was curious if we were, and see what's weird is I never really watched that show as a kid.
I never really watched that show a whole lot either. In fact, my experience with well, now I can't think of the actor's name, but my experience with him began and ended more or less with Breaking Bad, and I watched Breaking Bad after it was no. So, well, hopefully Warner, everything works out. Hopefully we get some forward movement on that. Sounds like maybe just a couple more hiccups and maybe, hopefully, knock on wood.
We can certainly hope.
Indeed. New and exciting. So, three people in this Zoom call, in fact, including me, will be launching a new game on Tuesday the 10th. Let me double check that. Yes, Tuesday the 10th. We are hoping for a third person to magically show up, but because we had three people for about 36-ish hours. I don't know how. It was a very short window between having three people to suddenly having two. Unfortunately, personal life issues popped up, and our third player had to back out. But we are going to press forward with two, hoping for three.
I may have a third.
You may have a third. Okay.
Who's your current cast?
This would be Alterios and Darius.
No, I meant the total cast. Who's the full?
And me.
Yes, but is there anyone outside of this current broadcast who is in the cast of this other show?
No, it's the three of us. There
Well,
was a fourth, but like I said, they had to back out.
Okay. Well, one of the reasons that I chose to abstain was I could see personal issues arising with someone else that had wanted to participate. So if you do need another person, and everybody else isn't sick of me from this game, I can.
Oh, but Rev, I am. No, I'm kidding.
But Omar, a friend is always welcome.
Oh, and there it goes. There, yep, that door just got closed right in your face, sir. Much like Warner's recruiter, I can no longer find your application. Let's talk over the next few days. Between now and like this weekend. Between you and Darius's friend, associate, whatever. Figure it out from there. In the meantime, this is a game about people flying through space, doing roguish traitory things. Previously, on Tithes of Acheron, we had ship battles, we had boarding let's try that all over one more time. Previously, on Tithes of Acheron, we had ship battles, we had boarding actions, we had defeating reanimating captains, scouring a planet's surface, finding Kroot, killing those Kroot, and now we're on we are in a post-battle scene on the toxic surface of Taslak 5. We have a tech priest wearing tech priest colored void suits with multiple bullet holes strung together with, adhesive stuff to keep air in and bad stuff out. There are dead Kroot bodies all over the place, and
just everywhere.
There was like 40 or 50 Kroot, and you guys mercilessly murdered every one of them. Murdering bastard. After
shouldn't have been filthy Xenos.
Yeah, purge the Xenos.
Yes. So you did capture some, but I believe you coup de grace them.
Oh, I happily did.
Yeah, thought so. So yeah, you guys are absolutely murderers. But you know what? In the eyes of the Emperor himself, this is sanctioned. This is okay.
This is expected.
This is expected, indeed.
Omar, Murder is what happens when I kill another human. Murder is what happens when I kill an innocent human.
An
To be more
innocent
precise.
human. No, you're wrong. Innocence presumes nothing.
It does
Innocence
presume nothing.
proves nothing.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Proves nothing. That you're right. You're right. I misspoke. I will submit myself to inquisitorial retraining, which means bullet through the head.
But what I'm saying is, not only are they not human, but they're also filthy cannibals, and there were recruit involved in the death of my crewman on board the
Your psycho relay
yeah.
station.
So not only are they not human, and therefore not deserving of the title murder, they are also not innocent.
No. I mean, these guys might not be the same crew that did that. You don't know that. But that's also
All crew look the same to me.
that's
Who knows?
Mhm.
Who knows anything?
Got him.
Zinch knows. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
Zinch knows everything. That said, the field is yours. You can now do your battlefield, battle damage assessment, post-battle fight stuff, or you can just head on back. Verisor. Up to you.
Head on back to what?
Verisor. It's the capital of this planet. Where Lord
No,
Governor
well-
or not Davis, what's his name? Tanner. Oh my god, I have a name
Well,
for it somewhere.
Unless we have somebody who's got an actively leaky suit.
You do well, not actively leaky. It's more like what's the word I want to use? It's currently less than 100% integrity.
Whose suit is that?
Altharios, would you like to reveal who it was that took multiple bullet wounds?
Oh, okay.
Now that the battle has passed, is there some sort of check that we can make to patch up Alterios' suit?
We did that already.
So that he does not take toxic gas damage.
Yeah, I gave him like a one-time chance to patch his suit up long enough with air in, and he passed it.
I was gonna say I will also remind
Yeah,
you
we
he does have a rebreather good for now, or should his suit start leaking again.
Yeah. So for the moment, you guys are good. Yeah, there's dead crew all over the place, and you are near the vicinity of a pretty large-sized dig site.
Okay, so obviously a full investigation of the crew and dig site is going to be in order. Rounding up as many of the humans as fled into the woods, basically putting out a message that um, should they that all how would we put it? Essentially, that all material needed for survival would be removed from the surface, and that should any of the individuals remaining here in suits wish to survive, they would be pardoned for any affiliation and incursion onto my planet.
Is Winter in the group on the surface? I don't remember if
Yes.
she is. Without putting too fine a point on it, she is loudly and incessantly advocating the destruction of any supplies and the murder of the possible Achelos station. Not destroy the people aboard the Achelos station.
I would point out that
They're clearly traitors, Lord Captain. They need to be burned.
yes, these individuals, if you're concerned about them being involved with the Achelos Station incident, beyond the Crute, Achelos Station was boarded by
A mixed group, and to call it mixed was. Sorry, go ahead.
Was boarded by very well armed members of what would have amounted to House Hanet's military wing. Many of the people remaining here would appear to be either laborers or potentially scientists. Those would not be people involved with the boarding and slaughter on board Achelos Station.
You can hear her almost breath. And she just kind of trumps to go find something. I don't want to play Rodance's character as some whiny little bitch, but she's definitely in whiny little bitch mode right now.
Actually, Omar, given her past and mistreatment by pirates, forcing anyone who is being forced to do, or the mistreatment of anyone working in a forced labor position is something she would disagree with.
Nobody here
in fact,
appears to be forced labored.
Well, of the humans who are here, I imagine if you've got a bunch of people digging in the dirt, there's going to be some forced labor based off of how.
I mean, they're definitely labor caste types, and then potentially some prisoners, malcontents or things of that nature thrown in. So you have sufficient labor for it.
So I'm going to be among the prisoners and malcontents. In questioning some of them, are they all essentially more like common criminals? Or some of these people who did not like the direction that House Senate was going and were essentially imprisoned for speaking out against the heresies that Hanet may have been participating in?
Of the handful of people that you've got captured here that identify as labor, probably 10 to 20% are prisoners. The rest are just the prisoner individuals are, as you interrogate them or talk to them, interact with them, they are more indirectly connected with individuals who were arrested for what amount, speaking out against House Henet's leadership, speaking out against Davros Henet himself, speaking out against Henet's decisions.
I guess how many of them are common criminals versus political is what I'm trying to.
Of the ones that you can identify as being prisoners, most of them are political based. There's a few that were like murderers, some filthy criminal type.
Well, we'll be sorting the criminals between political and non-political, and definitely bringing the political prisoners back aboard the ship for further, possibly for intelligence reasons, possibly to see if they're, at the very least, some of them might have been in some levels of knowledge or authority where they could be useful in the coming conflict.
Sure. You talk to any of them about what they were doing here, what the purpose of this expedition?
Obviously, now among the non-prisoners, do we see any sort of like, obviously there's going to be foremen who would be in charge of labor, but I'm looking more for anyone who would be more of a archaeologist or a scientist type. Do we see anyone befitting of that description?
No. What you get is probably a total of 100, maybe 100 people that you've managed to wrangle back up from the ones that ran off. Of those 100, probably about 70 or so are laborers. The others 30 are the prisoner types, and of those 30, 20 are political. Of the laborers, you have legitimate axe throwers, and you have supervisors. But beyond that, not much more in the realm of anything, intelligent or brainy.
Okay. From the supervisors, I want to find out, be it through charm or interrogate or whatever you want me to use, what was the purpose of why they were left behind? Was it simply a rushed evacuation, or were they left behind with a purpose?
You get one of the foremen is very hesitant to speak to you in the first place.
Your master's. I raise a hand when I see his fear, and I say, your master's ships have been destroyed, and he fled the ship in one system. He is in no position to retaliate against you for what you might have to say.
I beg your pardon, my lord. I do have family that I worry about. That said, I'm sorry, our short-term memory. What was your question again?
Were they left behind with a purpose,
yes,
or
yes.
was it more of a rushed evacuation?
It was presumably because you were here, and that Lord Hanet deemed it worthy that he took his prize and ran, and it was more important to get it back home than it was to make sure everything was packed up nice and pretty, like when we first arrived here. We were the sacrifice.
Okay. I'm going to ask.
Well,
Was there
except for the
anything?
dead ones over there, they were actually supposed to hang out, and after a month or so, and start. I presume whatever forces you already have here.
Yes. So I would be asking for a description of what the site looked like prior to their arrival. Was it some sort of ruins? Was it some sort of what sort of?
What was the
Obviously, it's a dig
situation
site
here?
now. Were they digging out a ship? Were they digging through ruins?
It was so the way he describes it, it was just a regular old countryside that seemed like regular forested hills, except for the fact that you couldn't breathe the air, and some of these obviously the vegetation was what we would be used. You know, tree is a tree, but these look different, or maybe the coloration was weird. Um, when the expedition first arrived here a few months ago, it was a poking prodding process to figure out where exactly to dig, and there was a navigator that had led the effort to figure out where exactly to do the digging. And once the navigator determined that they were in the right spot, that's when they began to dig in earnest. They dug probably a couple 100 meters down and maybe 100 meters wide to find what they were looking for. And what he describes sounds suspiciously like the half spherical thing that you guys found on that treasure ship way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Half spherical?
Yeah, hemispherical, I guess would be the right. So it's like
Oh, is
half
it
of
half
it's
I
a
was under the
sphere or a
impression it
whole?
was a.
so it's a half a sphere, and it both what you guys found on that treasure ship and the way he's explaining it is imagine like a circle cut roughly in half, and there's elements of each half of the circle that when you put the two halves together, they interlock.
I was under the impression we found a full sphere.
You might have. If that was the case, then there was significant portions of the sphere missing that you would have had to rejoin it. But in this case, it was, imagine a sphere made out of Legos, and then you have to cut it in half so that when you put it together, the Legos have to interlock with each other. I know that's a really bad analogy.
I get it.
I didn't have a way to draw this in a way that made sense because I'm not very good. But yeah, so that's what he explains, and when he describes it, it's I think I told you guys that the one you found on the treasure ship was something like roughly a meter or so across in diameter, and he's explaining roughly the same size proportion.
Great. So not only are they traders, they're also dealing in xenotech
Well,
without being a rogue trader.
no, he's a rogue trader.
My lord,
Technically,
he's not.
He is?
He does not have a warrant. He's just the lord of our world.
House Hanet does not have a warrant of trade.
That is correct, sir. Not from my understanding. The story that is told in schools and whatnot is that House Hanet came to our world, about 100 years or so ago, and established leadership, rulership over the world, and then Davros, is the grandson, and there's also an awful lot of hatred towards a House Van Breeze. Is that you,
It
sir,
would be.
my lord? I'm still not 100% sure how I should address you.
I basically also begin to so this is above table as well.
Uh-huh.
In this sector, Imperial law basically says they're in violation of Imperial law as humans trying to establish leadership over a world without a warrant of trade.
I'll be honest with you. Character, I'm not 100% sure how. I know rogue traders go out beyond the boundaries of the the official recognized boundaries, and basically bring things back in order to expand
Yeah.
the
Well,
Imperium.
this whole sector of space, the only way that you're establishing rulership over a world is with a warrant of trade. If you want to retcon that they don't have a warrant of trade, that's fine with me. But like,
I think
if
the
they're
argument that in character that if Davros was ever pressed, that he would just be like, "Well, possession is not." And I realize how lame that might sound, but he established dominance over this planet, and nobody's.
right, but that means as rogue trader, I can come and say, "This is my planet now,"
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and
I
he
mean,
has no.
even without a
And
warrant, that's
under
exactly what you can do.
and under imperial law, he has no say because he's just a rogue human world.
Yeah.
I was operating on the assumption that House Semet, because they were being called the House, was a rogue trader house.
Yes. I mean, I could call my shirt green all day long until somebody calls. And that's kind of the same methodology that he's run.
So my next question is this something like what I have already known that House Senet is not actually a rogue trader house, or is this something that my character just technically learned?
I suppose probably the easiest way is some sort of halfway medium between the two. Because unless you specifically asked that, if he had a warrant of trade, you may have assumed, but not necessarily known better. If that makes any sense. There
was just the conversation between myself and Jace, and it sounded like your labor character just interrupted and said,
"Oh yeah,
sure,
he's
he doesn't
totally
have a
expected
warrant
to
of
be.
trade."
Yeah, he's totally expected to be shot for that, by the way. But yeah, no. So I recognize I have not told you, in or out of character, that they did or did not have a warrant of trade. And the few times you mentioned or assumed, based on what you had said, that he was a rogue trader, I never corrected you. That is, there's a far, far large amount of onus on me for that. Officially, he has no warrant of trade. He has no sanction to do anything he's doing. The only thing that is allowing him to maintain leadership of this world is the fact that nobody has actually challenged him directly over his world, which may or may not mean anything in the grand scheme of things. You, in theory, and based on what I do understand of how rogue traders work, if you go in there and shoot the guy in the face and say, "This is my world now," legally, there's nothing stopping you.
I don't even have to shoot him in the face. I can go and
really
put a
don't.
mark on an official imperial map and say this world belongs to this rogue trader, and
sorry, go ahead.
or this world belongs to House Van Breeze, and there's no unless another rogue trader says, "No, that's mine." Also, the next question is, in this sector of space, without proper warrants of trade, how does anybody have that large of a fleet? Like, he would be persona non grata trading or dealing with anybody, even at Port Wander.
I think the only way we really answer that is, again, it kind of falls under one, obviously a certain amount of, I don't like the word ignorance in this case, but just not knowing any better on my part. And also a certain amount of, if you get people to work for you, sometimes the questions don't matter. If you find people in the right corners of society, the society from which they come, it doesn't matter. That makes sense.
These aren't people, they're ships the size of cities.
Yeah, I know. Listen, there's also a fair amount of this where I'm like, I need some naval bad guys. Well, you know what? Just like in the real world, when Hollywood makes a dumb idea and somehow it works, like grenades that can destroy entire cliff sides.
What?
You've never seen a movie where a grenade has a massive explosion?
Well, I've seen the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, but that's
a
ridiculous on
parody in and
purpose.
of itself.
That's ridiculous on purpose.
Yes. At any rate, I did take a little bit of, I suppose, creative liberty.
Okay.
But also a certain element of, some of these people are less than legit. And they decided to work with him or for him, or in order to make any kind of profit for themselves, they flew under his banner. Or maybe he held something over them. Varying, couple of different ideas.
just a wild theory here. He could have been introducing himself as House Sinet. And since
Yeah.
a house doesn't exist without a rogue trader,
He could have been
even though
implying some
it's a
things that weren't
lie.
actually true.
Well, my headcanon, until you prove otherwise, is that he's got some kind of shipyard in his territory that's slowly producing ships over time. And I'm
That's
now on a
also
mission to find it.
That's also a possibility, because we know you're trying to be not just a Lord Captain, but a Lord Admiral.
And
Not that I blame
yeah,
you.
out on the fringes, there is little enough difference between a privateer and a pirate. Close to the centers of power, there is a huge difference
Oh yeah.
between a privateer and a pirate. So, somebody with a ship and people who are willing to fight for them, somebody who is charismatic and willing to bluff their way through things,
Mm-hmm.
could do an awful lot as long as no one official looked at them too hard.
And because you're out in the Koronus Expanse, who's going to be looking that hard? Unless you go to
That
football or
depends
something
on
like that.
yeah, that depends on if the Inquisitress gets off
Oh
footfall.
shoot! Did I just use the wrong station? It's Footfall, not Port Wander.
I mean, you could use either one theoretically. Port Wanders is on the Imperium side.
Yeah,
Football
that's
is on
the
the Expanse side.
Calixus.
Yeah, no, I
side.
realized.
I knew what you meant
But-
though, or I assumed you meant footfall. But yeah, so like, there's a couple of different factors here, and absolutely a little bit of, a combination of ignorance and creative liberty on my part as well. So some
Okay,
of this may
well,
not jive with
So
canon.
hiring aliens just went from something rogue traders are allowed to do to something he is absolutely not allowed to do.
He is absolutely a bad
not.
guy. There's no disagreement there, and bad guy for a number of reasons. Violating all sorts of Imperium laws and traditions is
I know,
absolutely
but it just went from a misdemeanor to
Oh yeah,
Class A felony.
oh yeah, yeah. We definitely went from a slap on the wrist to take his head off at the earliest opportunity.
Well,
Absolutely. Not that he didn't already have a death sentence.
There is some give and trade and conflict between rogue traders, of which he is pushed past what is typical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he was a legit rogue trader, this would still be, regardless of that, based on his actions up to this point, this is all-out war, and this would be allowed.
But to me this is all out war.
Mm-hmm.
It by the forces of the Imperium, it could be seen as simply a slap fight between two people they don't care too much about.
Well, now it's because now that you know beyond a doubt that he does not have any sort of legitimacy, you could actually legitimately garner allies to take him out if you felt the need. Because now he's a threat to not just you as a rogue trader, but to the whole idea of the rogue trader franchise. Because he's snubbing his nose to your authority, and by that, the nose of all rogue traders' authority.
Well, so far as I know, I've just destroyed most of his fleet and taken other parts of it over.
True.
Once we have basically, is there any of the excavating materials left behind? Do they seem to be of any worth? Would it be worth it to transport them back up to the ship?
I mean, there's a couple of bulldozers, excavators, things
If
of that nature.
If there's heavy machinery, it's still something worth redeeming.
Yeah.
If nothing else,
repurpose it for somewhere else. If nothing else.
Well, if I will, am I able to get from where we are now? Am I able to speak with the governor in ground to ground, or am I too far beyond a horizon to be able to communicate directly with the governor at this point?
You would have to re-enter some part of the underground superstructure, and the reason why I say that is because in order to communicate from any one point in any of these facilities to any other facility, there is a gigantic network of fiber optic cables all across the planet, basically. Not much different than our world.
We were communicating with them from orbit. Are we able?
You can do that as well. Yes. So you have the choice. You could go back up to your orbit and communicate with him.
Well, that's what I was
or
asking. Is whatever wireless
nearby.
communications they have, Are they strictly orbital only? Like, is there a line of sight on the horizon issue there?
No, it's either go in orbit or go to the nearest location that has connectivity. Which
What would be a nearby location with connectivity?
this part of the planet is kind of isolated from the rest where you are, this particular peninsula. So
I'm going to call up to the Acheron's ferry.
Mhm.
Call in whatever, assuming with Jason Alterios' assistance in determining size and freight. Call for the proper number of additional shuttles.
Yeah.
Or haulers, whatever we have, to bring the heavy equipment and anything else valuable back up or onto those shuttles. We are going to hit orbit. We are going to calm the governor. We are going to see if the supplies should be left here to help the governor with the functioning of his world, or if they should be taken back with us to be repurposed elsewhere.
Okay. You've got like 3 or 4 different excavators, bulldozers, things of that nature, a wide variety of different shovels and things. You also do find a data slate that has a House Hennet logo on it that you can scrounge up if you want.
Yeah. We're completely dismantling and looking for anything of value, so obviously we would see a
the only slate. Sorry, go ahead.
It's probably being given to Alterios for data interpretation unless it's something that is easily viewed.
Okay. Beyond that, the rest of this is just whatever you would normally find at work site location. So like semi-rigid living facilities with airlocks that are not terribly difficult or time-consuming to break down, purposing somewhere else. Food stores, water purification.
Neither are they simply cheap to dispose of.
No, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it'd be better to repurpose them for use at another site, either here on world or on a different planet, as opposed to just leaving them be. I mean, we're talking probably something like a few $1 million worth of equipment altogether. Nobody is going to write off that if they don't. Even a rogue trader would be like, that might be pocket change, but that's pocket change that could be used later.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you're like the most frivolous with your money sort of person, you're not gonna just leave it.
Well, I'm thinking the temporary or portable structures, if they're able to withstand the environment on this planet, could be very useful to the governor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's doing too much heavy excavating on the surface.
So no, but I mean that stuff could still be used, under the surface.
Right.
So, in fact, that's actually a point in the conversation that you do have with God. I just had his name a second ago. Patros Danner. One, now that this situation seems to be resolved, he is pretty apologetic and, frankly, is expecting you to either fire him or kill him for incompetence for allowing something like this to take place. Reminding you, of course, that he had no idea this was going on, and the only mitigating factor is the fact that there is no orbital network to monitor the coming and going. There is a traffic control system that basically helps guide ships in and out.
I hold up my hand to stop him, and I say, Governor, just as innocence is no excuse, neither is ignorance, and I pull my pistol. And I say, but under the circumstances, you would have no way of knowing. May I suggest that you send to, I just forgot the name of my capital planet.
Regius Prime. It's on the table.
Send to Reg. I'm not in front of my computer at the moment. I ask that you send to Regius Prime plans. I said it is important that we learn from our mistakes. So I ask that you draft a plan, possibly several plans, for what it would take to ensure that the blind spots on the planet have some sort of monitoring network to prevent or at least make us aware sooner of incursions of this sort.
We shall redouble our efforts, Lord Captain. And I personally thank you for your
magnanimity.
Yeah, magnanimity and not killing me. Whatever that's called.
Mercy.
Mercy, that's it. I knew there was a word I was looking for. I just couldn't find it. Clearly, I don't
Yes,
use that word often.
I would be seeing if
I think
by
ahead.
leaving the heavy equipment here, one of the things we would be discussing is there had been a shortfall of production, and I've just found out that the incursion upon this world was not leading, because all of the worlds that in my domain were experiencing some sort of shortfall of tithe.
Yeah, like and
Um,
it was like it was trivial the amount, but it was slow. Like I think part of the problem was that it was it should have been 100%, but for whatever reason it was sitting at 98 point something, and it was
right.
inexplicable as to what was causing it.
But
Other
but
than some of the known problems, like obviously y'all knew about to some extent. You knew there was orcs on Vitamar. You knew there
right.
was something going on.
But we didn't know that there was anything going on here, and the operations that they had here were not interfering. So I'm trying to find out from the governor what he needs to bring them back up to quota and potentially beyond it, and find out
One
what the
thing he
problem is that has
so
led them to
what
falling
so
behind.
I think what he looks at is that if we had 20 or 30,000 more laborers and the people to manage that, they could open up new production lines for the mineral and ore extraction that can be used for the Regius output. That would certainly help tremendously, um, especially as you know during the interim phase of putting together some sort of satellite network for the monitoring from space. Because otherwise, until that's in place, production is going to drop as well because he's got to shift workers from one area to the other. He's also cognizant of the fact that like asking for so many laborers is not an easy thing to fill in a short amount of time. So he understands it is
The
what it
cruiser,
is.
the cruiser that we just captured.
Mm-hmm.
Have we? Would anyone like to venture names? I know it had a name.
It had a name. I don't remember what it was.
But
The Tempest Strike Frigate.
yes.
It had a name.
Well, you called it a cruiser at one point, which is why I still get confused.
Because I keep forgetting that most of the ships you guys are dealing with are actually frigates or smaller
Right, right.
cruisers. Big cruisers. That's like the next step up from your.
Our ship is a light cruiser, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty sure the sword's a frigate.
I'm pretty sure it's a frigate. Yeah.
Oh,
Did everybody hear that disappointment in Rev's voice there?
yeah, yeah. I confused myself, and I was disappointed.
Unfortunately, most ships listed in the core book are frigates or smaller. There's a couple of cruisers, like one cruiser or light cruiser listed, and then in the Into the Storm, there's a couple other cruisers, light cruisers listed as well.
There's the Dauntless light cruiser and Lunar class cruiser are the two biggest ships in the core rulebook.
And then there's like
and
one or two more in Into the Storm. I remember
yeah,
looking.
Technically,
Into the Storm has all sorts of stuff.
technically, the galleon is bigger.
The galleon is bigger, but it's also not meant for war either. Whereas your ship is definitely
It's a
more
giant floating cargo bay.
yeah, basically with a handful of small guns to ward off
No,
the
it has
laziest
this.
of pirates.
I'm pretty sure it has. The galleons I was looking at in the past had port, starboard, and 4 weapon attachments.
I mean, they can carry those, but also you'd have to. I'm getting ready to pull that check.
I don't see the galleon in the whole section of the starship.
Let's see.
I think it was. I think it was
there's
one of the.
transports, and there is
the
listed
galleon.
as transports. Sorry, go ahead.
The galleon, if I'm not mistaken, was listed in one of the extended books for the
Okay.
Rogue
There's
Trader.
the Jericho Pilgrim vessel. That's what your Prophet, whatever ship is. There's the Vagabond
Pursuit of
Merchant.
Profit.
Yeah, Pursuit of Profit. There's the Vagabond class Merchant Trader that's listed that has dorsal and prow mounts, but it also has 13 armor, which is about a third less than what your armor is.
No, the galleon. The biggest thing the galleon has much more internal space. It doesn't, but it has less, speed and maneuverability.
That's yeah, that probably. because it's going to be a
It
big
might.
machine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure just because it's such a big ship, it has a similar armor rating to ours.
That might be it. That would make sense. It's
it just
just the
doesn't
fact
have
that
a-
it's so big. It can take
It just
more
doesn't.
punishment.
It just doesn't have an armor rating equivalent to a ship of. Because if it wasn't galleon, it would be essentially at least a heavy cruiser. And so heavy cruisers would have a lot more armor comparatively size-wise.
That said, Danner is
Anyway,
willing to
so
work towards solving the problems, and he does point out, as unrealistic as it would be to expect this sort of numbers of laborers on hand all of a sudden, that 20 or 30,000 more laborers would open up at least another production line or two for more extraction of resources.
so I will be since my current seneschal is unavailable, I will be speaking. I will be speaking to the high factotum on board my ship,
Mhm.
since I'm basically between the two, between my ship and the planet.
Mhm.
Still, I'm carrying out these negotiations on board the shuttle, deciding where to send this equipment. So at this point, I will have decided with the governor where to send where the equipment can best be sent, and the shuttles containing it will be on their way to that location. I will be asking the high factotum if he believes that the cruiser that we just captured, or sorry, frigate that we just captured, is capable of functioning with about 20% less crew, which should be about 20,000 humans.
It can function. So the Tempest
I'm
class frigate has 30,500 crew.
Okay, that's less than I was thinking.
Yeah, but now your high factotum will also point out that the Hazaroth Raider that you guys encountered at the edge of the system has another 22,000 crew as well that you could pull some people from to make up the difference wherever you want.
Well,
so basically, you got
those,
about 50,000 crewmen that you can shuffle around as needed.
well, from those two ships, because of their connection to House Hanet, they will not have any further participation in this campaign. They will be sent elsewhere for retraining, recruital, etc. So since skeleton crews will hopefully be all that's needed to run those ships, I believe each ship could potentially spare 10,000 crew if they're simply needed to keep the ship running and arrive at a destination to receive more crew.
I feel like leaving 10,000 aboard each ship is
No, 10,000 from each. That would leave 20,000 on
20,000
board.
in one and 10,000 in the other, or something.
And you could even shift a few thousand to balance it out if needed between the two.
Yeah, so you want to pull 20,000 and bring them down to the planet? Is that what you're getting at?
That from the House Netty ships, yes.
Okay. Yeah, you could do it. I mean, it's going to take a couple of days to get everybody cross-loaded. Yeah,
Absolutely.
doing that. In fact, Danner is almost ecstatic over the amount of logistical nightmare that he has just created for himself by trying to find space and board for all these people, as well as getting them to work and organized into work crews. Like he almost, as soon as you start mentioning all this, even though you're in shuttle or wherever, he just like disappears off comms and leaves some random assistant to take over because he's like, I gotta go do math now.
I will be assigning orders to the two ships that higher level crew, meaning like the ones more responsible for command level stuff or in the upper decks, are to not be reassigned as best possible, and that from the lower decks, that whenever possible, because they are different clans,
Yeah,
that operate down there, that the clans be held as intact as possible, not to create resentment on the planet by having families separated between the ship and the surface.
so you're trying to move whole deck clans.
Right.
Make sense? Okay, I think over the course of, let's just say, another week, and eventually you will gain an additional 3 profit factor from clearing this planet of the Henneti influences, minus the fact that you used Henneti influences to effectively create another couple production lines, extraction, refining of the different plant goos that make your medicinal products.
So you said rare, and maybe we take an. Is there any chance we can, while during all this process, we can take another acquisition roll?
Yes.
Okay.
Same rules as before, which I put these in my notes because I knew this would come up because I know you guys love acquisition rolls. That said, let's see, interview with Lord Governor, did that more or less. Acquisitions as before, up to rare. Anything related to sealed suits for work in the toxic atmosphere. I'm sorry. Let me try that one more time. Rare and better is available. Anything that is related to sealed suits or work in toxic atmosphere is treated as 1 degree more common. So
Okay.
like any sort of like working tools, any sort of suits, rebreathers, air purifiers, things of that nature will be one step easier.
Yeah, I don't think we need any of that. However,
Probably not, but this is the kind of planet you're on.
there is a roll that can be made for improving ship skills. Now, I think in the case of our ship, most of our ship skills ended up being handled by crew member rolls and not ship skill rolls. So what I would like to do, if you'll allow it, is I would like to, and I'll have to look at where it was in the book to see what kind of roll needs to be made, but it's simply an acquisition roll to increase a crew skill by 5, I believe. And I would like to put it toward the Paralos.
Okay. Give me a second here.
It should be in one version of what everybody knows, what I titled Slap Together. There should be some ship upgrades, and I think it's one of them. Let me double check. I don't think I got it added in. Oh, crew improvements. It's an average rarity.
Is that in the core book?
I have it listed under table 4.6 upgrade or 4-6 upgrades, and considering that it is the third one down, I suspect it is in the core rulebook, because normally the Into the Storm went at the bottom. Is it Into the Storm? Is the other book?
Into the Storm.
For a
Yep.
second, I thought my brain switched to a different franchise.
Yeah, Into the Storm is chapter 4 for Starship stuff. So let's see what 4-6 looks like. Ready pack. Components 4.1, 4.2, 4.5, 6 upgrades. Crew improvements are rarity average, which is, I believe, 0.
So we can't get something that's very rare, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I've also kind of, that's one thing I would like to try to do, but I've also
Average
want
is
to...
plus 10. Sorry, go ahead.
So
Okay.
it's even easier. Yeah.
But I do want to double check and make sure there's nothing off the group acquisitions. I think we pretty much had those covered for what we
I
can
feel like
get
there was
here.
one additional roll that you guys wanted to make that you either didn't make or failed this time. I don't remember what it was. Or as far as like gear that either individually or as a group you want. Either for the group or for your armsmen. Don't like frags maybe.
we had
Or something
we
like
had
that.
we had considered grenades, but if we're going to consider that, just items that we got. I believe we got. Did we get blast goggles for the?
I think it was blast goggles for your armsmen. I don't think they have those.
Right. No, I was saying I think that's what we got. That was the
We
one that we
got-
didn't fail in.
We got the mono weapon attachments for bayonets.
Right.
That's right. You did get those.
We got that. We got toxic shot.
Yep.
Everybody rolled on something for the group, and one person failed. So we got suits, we got the attachments, and we got the what? Because I thought it was the
Did
blast.
you actually roll for grenades for the armsman? I feel like maybe you did.
We
I
may
don't know.
have rolled for grenades. I'd forget which ones we would have
Grenades
rolled.
was not what
I
we
think
succeeded.
we went
Grenades
with
was
frag and crack, like one
grenades
frag,
was
one
not
crack.
grenades was not what we succeeded on. I know for a fact.
Then yeah.
So we
Then we
got
would
the
have succeeded the blast goggles in that case.
Yeah, there's 4 of us. We got the suits, we got the weapon attachments, and I got the toxic shot.
Okay, so those are the 3 things.
Okay, you're right. You're right. So then what we still need is either rebreathers or gas masks. I lean towards rebreathers. We need blast goggles. We
Mhm.
possibly need some of the advanced medical kits, which still technically falls under rare, so we could technically still get it here, so that some of the guys could potentially heal themselves in a pinch.
Mhm.
Some of the other things we had on our list are not available here. And then the only other thing that I can think of that the group might potentially need is we could put at least 1 or 2 crew. Now in chapter 4, how many points does that upgrade it? Because I was thinking it was either +5 or +10, and I didn't want to.
For the crew improvements?
Yeah.
Let's see. Those some see their communities in it. Whatever the reason, these improvements forms better provisions. These improvements grant a +2 bonus to morale. Okay, so so it says if you look on PDF 164 for Into the Storm crew improvements, that's third paragraph. It says poor craftsmanship imparts only grants permanent +1 bonus for crew morale. Good craftsmanship gives a +3. Best craft crew improvement grants a +5 to the ship's crew rating. So it'll be an average.
So my question is,
what's the other one?
because it's not really
Average.
craftsmanship
Go
in
ahead.
this case, it's just the difficulty of the role for the training. Is best craftsmanship crew improvement something we can do here, since it's not really an actual tangible physical object that the planet would produce?
Yeah, I feel like that you could, anytime you're making an acquisition roll, you can make that best craft roll because it's specifically relating to your crew's training and experience. And at this point, you guys have been in a number of fights with these ship crews. Best craft is arguably Mox Nix. Like, we shouldn't have to discuss it. Going for best craft, other than the fact that of the modifier requires, I don't see why that would not be allowed.
Okay. So my next question is, I would really like the Paralos to be able to shoot better. Does anybody here disagree?
I disagree.
think that would be great.
I disagree, only because I want to kill you and not. I shouldn't say that. I don't actually want to kill you. I just want to make it a little bit more challenging. So +10 for the average, but -30 for best craft. That gives you a total of -20. You're looking at a 43 at the moment. Darius looks like he's got some witty thing to throw.
No.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to get the Paralos to shoot better.
Okay.
Is there? Everybody can buy whatever they want. I'm just reminding there's still the rebreathers, the blast goggles, and the. We could also go with gas masks instead, but I feel like blast goggles, gas masks, whatever.
I think the rebreathers and the goggles is the for your guys.
Right. So there is a couple things we can get for the squad, but if there's something you want to get for yourself that falls under the current roles, or you want to get grenades, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. My role is going to be kind of hard, but I feel like the ship we're actually going to take with us should shoot better.
And before you roll that, Rev, have I given you the Lord Captain's +10 before for acquisition rolls, or have I left that out? I don't remember.
You mean like the bonus?
Yeah.
The command bonus? No, you haven't given me that before.
Okay, then never mind. You don't get it now.
Why not?
Because if I haven't given it to you before, there's no precedent in giving it to you.
Well, considering that this is a training, if I'm...
you know what? I think because it's training, and this is the last line that I'm not going to cross anymore, because it's training, You can allow the train harder as a +10 as your rope trader, but it only applies to one thing. As far as, like in this case, you're going to put it on your ship's crew and not on any of your armsmen.
Right. Like this is simply a ship crew rating.
Yep.
And I believe that can be now. Is the crew rating separate or is it applied to every skill? So, for example, is this going to
No,
make
the
them
crew
slightly
rating
better?
applies to every skill that ship might make rolls for.
Okay, that's even better. I'm going to throw a +10 on it to make it a 55 that I'm rolling
53.
for.
53.
Sorry, 53. And I am going to roll.
Yay.
Would you like to use a fate point and re-roll that?
No.
Okay. All right. Who's next? Making rolls.
Pardon me.
Which is more important, the goggles or the rebreathers?
I feel like the rebreathers have more practical use, whereas the goggles
Oh,
have more specific use. I could be wrong though.
Yes, Rev.
Shoot, 63 is still a fail. We didn't count the +10 that you gave me in addition to the +10 that I put on there. It should have been 63, not 50.
63 plus 10 is 73, minus 3 is 43, 53 is your final. Because it's +10 for average and then minus 30 for best craft.
Right.
And then
Which
plus
makes
10
it
for your thing, which would have net minus 10.
But I also put one of my fate points into it for another +10.
That still would have been 63, yeah. Unless you want to re-roll against it.
I don't.
I didn't realize you were putting an extra +10. 8.
Yeah.
My opinion, I think rebreathers have a more common use than the blast goggles having a specific use case. But one, I could be wrong, and two, I don't want to overly influence your guys' decision making. If it were up to me, I would go with the rebreathers first.
I might agree with you.
Although you guys do have some shields that get really freaking bright if they
Yep.
down.
Yeah, I
That's
essentially
true.
have I have a flashbang shield that's going to blind everybody if they don't have blast goggles.
Yeah,
So
I think we're back to 50-50 on which one's better than the other at this point.
Well, you roll for one of them, I'll roll for the other, and we'll be good.
Then Icarus will roll for something else entirely.
He can
I
get
feel like-
grenades.
I feel like he's looking at what is it? Which ones are the ones that you were recommending? Was it the toxic or the blood fire or I forget? Which
I was
ones were...
recommending the incendiary personally.
There you go.
You can never go wrong with too much fire.
You fired.
Oh,
Wait.
you can absolutely go wrong.
That's why I said it like that.
Mhm.
Can we apply since you can apply toxic to the flamethrower?
fire.
Can we apply the toxic trait to our incendiary grenades?
No.
I don't think you can add ammo to grenades.
Hey, look, we can duct tape some toxic bullets around a grenade. Okay.
That only works for the orcs.
Well, it only
Because they
works.
believe it works.
Yeah, and they
Well-
don't have to tape anything to it. They just believe it. They believe
Jace,
it into
remember,
being.
it could work after you get your workshop.
Anyway.
Workshop.
All right. What are we rolling for next?
Warner, your roll. Go.
All right. I'll roll for the rebreathers.
All right. What's the rebreathers common or availability rather?
Let me
I don't
just
know off the top of
bring that on up here.
And I have it on the chart for the roll here. Excuse me, the acquisition model.
So the rebreathers are scarce.
Okay.
So that's 0, and then a minor quantity is +10.
Okay.
The math for that, aside from the +3 we just got, is all on the thing that I sent everybody a couple weeks ago. So in the group chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so scarce is +10, and then minor,
So
or excuse me,
yeah.
0 +10.
0
then
for
common,
scarce, and then
and
minor
magic.
quantity was +10.
Yep. So net +10, you're rolling against a 73.
73 it is. Do.
That looks like you guys just acquired a bunch of blast goggles for all your armsmen.
Rebreathers.
That's what I
Yes.
meant. That's what I meant. That's really what
Is
I
it?
meant. What are you
Okay,
making?
so blast goggles are common.
Let me see. All right, I had to write that down. I need
It's
to get
the
models.
the math is all
common?
already written down.
Yes, common.
20, 30, and common craft is net plus 30, so you're rolling against a 93.
What's the best craftsmanship I can get?
There is no craftsmanship bonus for goggles, as I recall.
There isn't?
Also, the only common crafted stuff is available here on this planet as per Omar's.
I do vaguely recall saying something.
Oh,
Because this isn't one of your we have everything available kind of places. It's kind of
so 93.
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I am not going to fate point this.
Okay. I sincerely hope you don't have to. And he rolls a 91. No, a 90.
But we
3
still
points
got
under.
it.
He still got it. All right, rebreathers and blast goggles. I almost wrote blast googles, by the way.
Blast Googles.
Yeah.
Alturios, what you trying to buy?
Somebody throw a rocket off. Okay, for
Alturius is muted.
Didn't you say grenades?
you can roll for grenades.
You
I don't know if
can.
you have anything else you want.
Not that I can think of.
Just make sure you get enough for everybody, and not just the troops, if you can.
Isn't
Frags
the whole
or
point?
I'm sorry.
Or you could get enough just for us and ignore the troops. Who cares?
It'd be funnier if they could all just throw grenades.
I don't know what the quantity would need to be. I think for everybody
For all
to
of-
have
for
it,
everybody. Well,
needs to be
for your
standard.
squads plus you guys, it'd be the company, which is plus 0.
Yep.
If you wanted to do all of your armsmen, that's a minus 20 because you have over 2,000 arms.
Yeah, no, I meant the elite.
Yeah. Just for
I think
clarity's
they're-
sake, in case.
I think they're plentiful as well.
Frags were in the plus 20, plus 30 range. It was the cracks that were at minus 10.
Incendiaries, they're in the pack. So inferno grenades, is that the incendiary?
That sounds right.
Sounds right.
Those are rare.
You can get those, but that is a minus 10. So it's 53 at the moment. Because I don't think grenades come in anything.
Are you fine with them having inferno grenades?
Why wouldn't I be?
If they if they botch their roll, the scatter table could have it drop at their feet.
Yeah, and I forgot to put the scatter table.
They can probably survive a frag. I'm not so sure about infernos.
Well, I'm thinking that what is the skill line that they need to make to
It's a
contest
ballistics test to throw a grenade.
right. So I suggest if you're able, here's one of two ways you can go. You can buy it for us now, meaning the squad members who are less likely to fail something like that, or at least more likely to survive. Buy it for them later, and that also breaks up the difficulty because then you don't have to get the same quantity. And then in the meantime, we trained the troopers to be better in ballistic.
Couldn't you only do that once? Wasn't that a
No,
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 your troop training is available basically whenever you guys go into.
we only did it once per squad because of the time availability during the warp.
Yeah, that's.
And Omar has basically said you've been through combat, so everybody who got a skill upgrade, which would be your. Now, Omar, you can contradict me. I'm just simply trying to
I
re-explain
don't
the
think
rules.
so.
Because they've all had combat. They've seen that in your case, the upgrade to your combat servitor worked, and in our case, their training had time to set in. Because we've taken both squads out at this point that actually successfully trained anything. They're basically starting from zero, but they can only upgrade something twice. So, for example, I forget the timetable we set, but we were only in the warp long enough to do one training session. Essentially,
It was probably because you were in the warp for all of like 2 weeks or something silly like.
yeah, I think it's about every 2 weeks you can do a training.
I thought we were only in the warp for 1 week.
Either way, it was a time constraint. You weren't in the warp long enough to do much more.
But let's say that we're in the warp for 6 months. Hope it doesn't happen. But the maximum that we can train anybody on any one particular skill or upgrade your bot, in your case, on any one particular skill, is 2 +5s. So they can only get a total of +10 before they're capped until they've had a chance to metastasize that upgrade or experience. Does that make sense? Is everybody on? Okay.
Is Throne a whole different proficiency?
Like weapons, weapon
Yeah.
skill or whatever. I think Throne is basic. If you look at the weapon chart for grenades, I think it might actually be. I'm not sure.
They all
off the
say
top of my head.
Throne, and I wasn't sure if Throne was a ballistic skill or a strength skill.
It's a ballistic skill.
It might still be a ballistic skill, but if they're not proficient in it, I think there's a halvesy thing that goes on.
Who's not proficient in Throne?
I have no idea.
Omar, are any of our troopers not proficient in Throne? Have they thrown things in their life to some level of competency?
I have to assume they.
Okay, thank you.
But I want to know because I don't believe.
I'm gonna say yes, just to make it easier for you to be less concerned about botching a thing. Though you can still fucking miss because when you throw, you only have your ballistic skill.
I'm gonna go ahead and just get the larger one anyway, because if we're going to get it for everybody, we might as well just have it.
Well, I was just saying, like, if you split it up between 2 quantity rolls, it makes it easier to make sure that we get them for us now and them later. But it does burn an extra roll, so it's up to you.
I'd rather not burn an extra roll. So.
Okay. Unless you fail, in which case we're burning another roll trying to get grenades at some point.
Well, then I just fate point it.
Throwing grenades requires no special training or talent, is resolved by using a ballistic skill test, including any modifiers such as range. On a miss, the thrown grenade goes in a random direction. See the scatter diagram on page 248.
Or on the table that I just.
Yeah. When a grenade jams, the jam results from throwing a grenade or firing a grenade launcher or similar weapon. Something unfortunate has happened. Roll 1d10. Any result other than a 10, the explosive is simply a dud, and nothing happens. On a 10, the explosive detonates immediately with the effect centered on the attacker. If the explosive was fired from a launcher, it detonates in the barrel, having the same effects as destroying the weapon.
That sucks. All right. On the other hand, anybody that's been in the military for certain has had those sorts of horrors. The soldier that drops the grenade at their feet, or the grenade launcher that fails to fire completely, or any weapon that fails to. Called a hang fire.
Or the SIG that goes off when you set it down on a desk.
Well, no, these are more like hang fires if they go off inside the tube.
I know.
I remember that because I used to tell my soldiers of all the different types of misfire, a hang fire is very specific because it means hang on a second and then it shoots, and usually when it shoots, it doesn't have a full power on it. I shot very large weapons too, like 155 millimeters. So having a hang fire on one of those, fuck me. The only difference is
you shoulder fired 155 millimeter.
No.
That was a
howitzer.
I know.
How do you shoulder fire a howitzer?
Right. You said I shot. You said I shot, and so I was making a joke.
I mean, you still have to actuate the.
You still got to pull lanyard, pull string, gun go boom. Anyway, it looks like the final result there is you guys got a bunch of infernal grenades.
Nice.
Don't drop the crate.
Why there's a bunch of infernal grenades on what is otherwise a mining colony? Different question, but you know. Did you? I forget what the numbers.
It's a defoliant. You gotta get rid of all the trees.
that's a fair point.
Those are the anti-plant grenades in the core rule book.
Did you guys? Did you? Icarus, or Alterius, I forget already. But did you roll for everybody, or was that just for the squads?
That was for everybody. I think a result of 4 doesn't make it matter anyway.
I suppose. In that case, you can also add 1 Inferno Grenade to each character sheet for purposes of.
Yay.
I feel like
Just
carrying 2 of those around might be a bit extraneous unless you're
Going to
militant.
test it out at the nearest pre-servitor.
Wow, I love that. Oh man, at the next nearest pre-servitor. Well played,
Omar,
sir. Well played.
Omar,
Yes.
I have one objection. When I fire something, I always dual wield.
So 2 grenades is what I'm hearing.
I would like 2 grenades. Yes.
I suppose the characters can have 2 if they'd like. Your guardsmen are going to carry
Dueling
1.
nades.
Okay.
Because I imagine eventually they're going to have frag and smoke as well. If for no other reason than some sort of standard load kit.
Well, eventually, Omar, we're going to have the squads armed differently, potentially, or add a couple of other squads, depending on the situation we think we're going into.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then it's going to be just like any other arms race. You're going to have an idea. I'm going to throw ideas at you that pseudo defeat that idea. And then you're going to have ideas that defeat my idea. And then we're just going to go back and forth until mutually assured self-destruction.
To be fair, I thought
a space marine?
to be fair, I thought we were going to need a specialized guardsman to handle boarding actions, and I'm like, no, we could just fill the hallway with fire.
I'd like 1 blueberry.
I'd like 1 salamander to be my fire for the hall. What's the roll for a salamander? I don't know. Probably like minus 60. You need to roll a 3 or less to get a salamander part of your crew. Bum, 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 bum. Now presenting Space Marine Thaddeus. Of the greed of the salamanders chapter.
More like Space Marine Chadius.
No, that comes a little too close to an Imperium Maledictum game patron that I worked with. Is that everybody for rolls? I think it is. 3 breathers, blast goggles, infernal grenades, and whatever it was that Rev rolled for. Forgotten.
Crew training that I was.
Oh yes, crew
unsuccessful
training
in.
that didn't quite make it.
Failed training.
Yep. Okay. Where to next?
Well,
Or what do next?
so this is above.
Oh,
Can you hear me, Mike? Check.
yes.
Yes. It cut out for a moment, but you're back.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I was taking care of a couple things in my kitchen since it was verbal. If you were able to hear me, and I'm holding onto the kitchen sink, which means that I normally keep a good wireless connection, we're not going to discuss how that happens.
We're not going to discuss how the aluminum foil theory works.
But regardless, we can either pursue Hanat, or we can go deal with the other distraction, which could be quite substantial, since the orc invasion was a distraction, in order to ensure the security of our home worlds. I am inclined, now that we have driven, even though Hanat has gotten his prize, now that we have driven him off our world, the priority should be in securing the rest of our space. But if anybody else has any other ideas, we're having a crew meeting, and I'm taking options from other people at this moment.
What was the distraction at Hallows 3?
Indeterminate. However, you have a data slate that I believe ended up in Icarus's hands.
Yes. Icarus, is that something that Icarus would need to read, or is it simply an unencrypted data slate?
Well, let me see what my notes say. I don't remember. Well, I did not specify anything being encrypted, so here's what you get on the data slate, and then Icarus can pretend to be my mouthpiece. Riling up the orcs on Vitamar was to serve as a recurring distraction nuisance. Killing Nomi Van Breeze, your mother, was a boon that Hanat didn't see coming, but he was certainly very happy about, and that he planned to stoke for a little while longer. There's a note about the attack on the Echelon station and that raiders were dispatched specifically in order to sever communications between your domain and your Lord Captain, who at the time was still in the Calixus sector. It was done also in, basically to keep the domain off balance and out of touch with anybody that really could have directed your domain while he was doing his dastardly digging in your own backyard things. Let's see. There is a note that now that he has this artifact on this planet, that he can now join that artifact with the artifact that he found on his own planet to basically reconstruct the two halves into the full whatever it is. There is a larger force comprised of Kroot and other mercenaries that were mostly hired or taken on from Footfall that were stationed here as a surface security element for this dig operation. And once the artifact was dug up, the bulk of that force was dispatched to Halask. They left some time ago, probably within the last couple weeks. And then the final bit of notes, kind of like his personal journal entries sort of thing, is that seems to indicate that if Hanet is able to reassemble both halves of what he believes is simply an alien artifact of tremendous power, he will gain some indeterminate boon that will grant him ascendancy over Van Breeze, and he'll be able to reclaim Regius in his name, and the domain will be his. And then lastly, the last sentence is an indirect mention or thought of possibly becoming the Lord Sector of the Koronus sector in time. It was the Lord Sector that stunned him.
No.
The silence was a little bit much.
That's brazen.
Oh yeah, yeah. Clearly, he's got some crazy ideas that, well, let's be honest, delusions of grandeur are falling short.
Well, it wouldn't be Lord Sector. It would be essentially something like Governor General.
Whatever the title is given to the governor of a sector, because it's assuming that he would be able to basically do the Koronus Crusade to turn the Expanse into an actual sector, and he would be at the head of it all. He would be the Lord Governor, etc., etc. I don't know what specific title it is, but whatever that specific title is, it's mentioned. And then probably has like Koronus Sector in quotes and little hearts around it or something stupid. No, it wouldn't be hearts, but you get the idea. I see that look, Darkness.
Maybe little stars.
Stars, yes, definitely stars. And they would be gothic. They wouldn't be like bright and shiny. They'd be gothic.
Would they be 8-pointed stars?
No, they're
Hearts,
not 8.
stars, and horseshoes, clovers, and blue moons. Pots of golden rainbows, and the red balloons.
99 of them?
99 red balloons.
I love it.
Oh, what a
99
callback.
red balloons on the wall.
I don't think that's how that goes, but I could be wrong.
Luftballons, ihren Weg vor Horizont.
Anyway,
Oh,
please
God.
don't copyright
I
strike
do
us on
remember
YouTube.
that song.
I think at this point, basically what Icarus ends up relaying is that all of this information, and then probably your navigator, Anastasia, is like, well, Lord Captain, we have 2 possible directions to go. Which one would you like to go do first? Or is there any other particular destination you would like to go to, I suppose? It is your ship. You could just fuck off to nowhere. She's not going to say all that. I'm definitely going to be like, you could just fuck off to Nowheresville if that's what you want to do.
I would recommend going after Halos 3 first.
Yeah, securing my own backlines before moving forward, I think, would probably be the better option.
Yeah.
Also, if whatever's going on the ship here and the other half of the artifact's effects on his crew are any indication, instead of a boon, it's going to make him a thrall.
Anastasia says, "As you wish, Lord Captain." And then I think she gets ready to leave for the Navis Sanctum, but also kind of lingers a bit. Not really sure if the meeting is over, or if she's just being a little.
Above the table,
Yeah.
do any of the other players have any disagreement with going to secure Halask?
No.
Reinhardt wants to shoot things, and no matter where we go, it will be target-rich environment. So
Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud, was I? I mean, let's be honest. Wherever you go next, I'm gonna make sure there's targets for you. As a point of consideration, Lord Captain, just FYI, it is about. Well, actually, no. She wouldn't tell you the travel time. She wouldn't tell you the travel time until she knows. But you're looking at, based on which system you decide to go to next, anywhere from 1 to 6 months, depending on which one and various other factors. But even that, I don't think she would actually give you a number until it's time to give you that.
Well,
Hey, we
Halask,
could get to Halos before the invaders arrive.
I mean, damn it, the crew left here a couple weeks ago. The crew and mercenaries, they left here a few.
And we still could get there before them.
You, in theory, yeah. You don't know what their navigation process is, which I learned recently. There's more than just using within the Imperium. Nobody's typing.
click, click.
Apparently, there's one method that the Imperium uses in lieu of navigators, and it's basically point the ship in the right direction, enter the warp, and then exit the warp after a predetermined amount of, and hope for the best.
Good luck with that.
I mean, when you've had the luxury of having a navigator that's far more accurate and potentially less dangerous, yes, good luck with that indeed. But if it works, it works.
Well, you don't want to really do that with Taslak to Alpha Haneti,
Well, one thing
because it passes through that cloud where there looks like a ball sack.
is passed through the saying.
Are you saying that some people just like point in the general direction of where they want to go?
Yep.
Wait,
Yeah.
turn on a timer, look out the fucking window, and then we're not there yet. To recharge the jump drives.
That's effectively what. Apparently, having a navigator on every ship in the Imperium is impossible. Just not enough ships. So some ships, a fair number of ships, actually do the click method. Hope for the best. There's a third method. I don't remember specifically what it was, but it was some sort of something. It was weird. It was like I know if I have the opportunity to travel with a navigator, please, for the love of God, let me use a navigator. But also, navigators are quite a bit unique and rare, and thus expensive. So usually, your more common ships, like a lot of your navy ships and your merchant trader ships, a lot of them don't have one. At least that was the understanding I took.
Well, they don't, but like the flagship would have one that they can essentially slave themselves
Right.
to.
Yeah, the flagship would, but a lot of your like ships of the line, or I don't even want to say ships of the line, is the wrong impression, but like your average captain isn't gonna have. Your Lord Admirals in charge of entire fleets and shit, they'll have one. Battlefleet Calixus, you best damn right the flagship has one.
I wonder what the Space Marines do.
They have
Do the librarians
librarians
be able
in
to
their
have it?
chapters. I would imagine they have access to some sort of navigation that doesn't involve blind
Yeah,
click.
but like navigators are supposed to be weird, so like I wasn't sure if
They're
like any
sanctioned as
psyker
fuck,
could
though.
do it or.
Navigators are sanctioned as fuck, though.
Right, and Space Marine chapters typically don't. The librarian typically doesn't have to go navigate the ship.
No. No, as soon as I started talking about the librarian, I was like, wait, no, that's actually totally different. I mean, they're also mutants, but they're totally different. Totally different.
And definitely not third eyes.
No,
For the most
absolutely
part.
not. They're not even sanctioned psyker in the way that we're used to here within the Rogue Trader spec. They're psyker, don't get me wrong, and they're absolutely going to be sanctioned because of Space Marine, but they're different than your average run-of-the-mill sanctioned psyker. The way I understand that.
Yep.
Before I feel the need to play Death Watch again, are we jumping?
We will be playing.
Well-
we will be jumping, and I will throw on the table that at some point in the future after this show, I am considering a death. Just, let that savor. I can't even say what I was going to. Never mind. Let that thought simmer. There you go. The problem with my brain running faster than my goddamn mouth. At any rate, there is a jump pending. I guess the big question is which one, but that's dependent on feedback from your command. And as far as the NPCs, they're probably a little bit mixed, not to be too much driving that point, but there's some mixture. There's a handful that are like, yeah, we should absolutely go and fuck up Davros Hanet for all the bullshit he's done to us. Now that we've clearly identified him as the primary problem. But there's also an equal argument for, yeah, let's preserve the domain before we go fuck with him. Because God only knows what he...
So, what we're doing is, what are my operations on Halusk?
It's a great question. And I did generate Halusk, so let me see my notes. Those notes in here? I'm going to say. Let's see. Did I not type up this stuff?
So, according to Lexicanum, while rare, it is not impossible for a Space Marine chapter to make a navigator into a full-fledged Marine. An idea not foreign to the Ultramarines, who denoted one of their navigators as too old to undergo the initiation. Uniquely, the White Scars Space Marine chapter is noted for possessing high numbers of navigators turned into full brethren. Those navigator Space Marines are rarely committed to battle.
Okay, I know I generated the system notes. I must not have actually typed them up. Short version is this. Your question was what kind of operations you had, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a lot of mineral extraction operations. You've got a number of industrial metal sites, a couple of exotic metals, some ornamental minerals, and some radioactive shit. And one note that's probably available in the Bible that Marcellus Dell had, and then he passed it off to Junko Bar, is that there is something of a basically a couple of starship graveyards in the outer edges of the system that are absolutely inert, and over the last few decades there has been something of a not necessarily market, not necessarily industry, but some sort of combination of those two ideas where basically ships leave the surface of Halos 3, they fly out to the outer parts of the system, they extract a bunch of crap from these shipyards, or not shipyards, these ship graveyards, and then they bring everything back, they effectively recycle, repurpose, refurbish, clean up whatever they get, and then they send all this along with all the different minerals and things that they extract from the planet, and they send it off to Regius to be used as part of the Regius input for what becomes the Regius output. Which, for anybody that doesn't remember what I mean by those terms, it's everything that the Regius Hive, not quite Hive World, puts together for use throughout the domain, and the excess of which is used back in the. So anything that can be produced, anything from T-shirts to backpacks to paper to petroleum products to weapons, armor, ammunition, Anything that the domain doesn't use, excess gets sent off to the Imperium to be your. So basically, Halos 3 is like where a lot of your resources come from.
Right.
Now, I shouldn't say a lot, but a significant portion of it. Omaris is the other one. Omaris feeds the hive world of Regius. Again, I should call it a pseudo hive world. And there is a smaller part of Omaris that is both. I keep wanting to think of like tree farms, but also some mineral extraction. And Halos 3 provides the bulk of mineral extractions, as well as some random xeno that they go out there and they find what amounts to some alien race's ships and repurpose chunks of hull into, oh well, that's definitely steel and titanium and some other weird alien ornamental bullshit. We'll just burn that off. The steel and the titanium and the whatever plastanium, whatever the fuck, that could be repurposed into something else. That sort of thing. So as far as preserving Halosk and keeping it from getting fucked with, there is a fair amount of motivation there because it will have an impact. If those operations are disrupted, it's going to have a big hit on the Regis output.
I was worried less about that and more thinking about. So is it largely is it a sparsely populated like industrial mining world? Does it have any heavier centers of population to support just mining operations? Clearly, there's ships capable of going out and harvesting
everything on the planet revolves around pulling shit out of the earth, or out of the ground, or repurposing what's found out in space.
Right.
And so it's a pretty big. Like I never got to the part where I was like, well, it's 50,000 or 100,000 or millions or whatever population. But there's a fairly large population. It's not as deeply populated as a hive world or even your agro world, but there's a significant population there that would be concerning to start losing.
Well, less about losing, but it seems the sort of individuals who could be trained to replace ship crews.
Possibly. I mean, obviously people can be retrained for repurposed.
Well, no, like if you've got a bunch of knuckle draggers on an agro world that know how to grow stuff and not much else.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're dealing with people who are,
yeah, these are definitely industrially trained, as opposed to backwoods farmers.
Right.
I probably just offended half of America. Sorry.
Well, there's a difference between our farmers and like people who live on a world that's entirely just go out there and grow things.
Well, yeah, true. But Rev, don't you know this was my granddaddy's farm and it was my daddy's farm, and when my dad dies, it'll be my farm. How dare you allow him to speak like that about me and my family? Okay, now I've absolutely offended some farmers. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, if they're offended, I guess they should go to farmers only.
Ooh, sick burn.
So I was considering diverting a couple of ships elsewhere, but I think we'll take our entire extended fleet of several ships, at least 4 ships by my last count, with us on the journey.
You don't want to leave one at each.
2 of the ships are essentially 2 of the ships are at least skeleton crewed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the people that I've taken off of them. One of them also happens to have some sort of potential nanite infestation.
As does your ship.
Yes. The when we arrive in system, just so that you know this ahead of time for any kind of, when we arrive on whatever the outer edges of the system are,
Hmm.
the 2 ships that we have recently captured that are now down a substantial number of crew members are not intended for combat. They're going to be continuing like maintenance and repairs and refurbishments. And allowing and basically non-essential functions can some cases go by the wayside in order so that the crews aren't being overworked
Yeah.
on those ships, and they're not expected to be battle ready. And one of the questions that I'll be having is possibly not the full number of replacements, but can replacements be brought up to fill more of those ships' capacities, possibly for some of the gun hives with, less severe, those with less severe criminal offenses. Obviously, I don't want to crew the gun crews with just murderers on those ships, but
Well, I mean, if that's what they're good at.
Definitely places for.
yeah, could assign them to the plasma core refueling crew.
I mean, that's also a good place for a murderer to be. Life expectancy is about 4 seconds.
I was gonna say life expectancy is 1 refueling.
Yeah, basically. And that's after they pump them full of drugs. That's more of a insurance thing to make sure that they actually finish refueling before they die. Not finish refueling, but finish their part of the process.
Right. Anyway, so I
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that we're not intending to take those deeper with us in the system, and they should not be considered for any sort of combat encounters for whatever you have to plan in the future.
Yep. Nope, I had not considered. Okay.
And if this planet is going to be able to sustain or support without reducing its quotas, any of the population from the surface to recrew the ship.
Okay.
What I don't want to do, and I may leave the ships here, but above the table to everybody, what I don't want to do is send the ships to Regius, and then since Regius is the target that he wants to reclaim with whatever boon he thinks he's getting, have them in orbit above Regius and say, "Oh, Lord Commander, take us back," or whatever they call their leader, since he's not an actual rogue trader.
They would just call him my. And that's the lie that's perpetrated. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Perpetuated.
That word.
Well, perpetrated is too perpetuated and perpetrated.
I think they were both just
Yeah.
equal
both
value
work.
in my mind at the time. All right.
Perpetrated is the act, perpetuated is spreading.
Yes, what he said. All right. I propose that we wrap here because while we can certainly go into the warp, I don't know if we can finish the entire trip. Plus, it'll be a better story, I think. Not necessarily story, but better sequence for next episode.
Oh, come on, let us at least enter the warp. We can do all the.
No. It'll be easier that way.
I've got fate points to burn, Omar. Let's go.
You'll have more fate points to burn next week. You'll have
Only
all of them
one.
back.
I've got 5 fate points to burn. Come on.
Well, you can keep all 5 and however many you're supposed to have, and you can also take 300 experience points. 400 experience points for completing the Segmentum, the Troubles at Taslak. Now I have to come up with a spiffy little name for Halos 3. I don't know. Come up with something.
Hell at Halosk.
I feel like that's just a little too much. Like I'm not allowing for
Hazards
enough.
at Halosk?
Come on, Hades at Haylock.
Oh, there you go.
Hades. Let's see.
What was the experience points game? 400.
400 because we have completed Segmentum
Oh.
5.
So that brings us to what?
My count says
or
rough.
sorry, not 25. Not 25.
14 plus, 14, 15, something like that.
I'm reading 15K if I did my math right.
I think my
That
guys
should be
total.
right for you guys.
I'm also reading 1500 even.
sounds about right. I'm a little bit
I
behind
can
too.
I can math. Hey Omar, what's the password?
It's a great tax
.com.
accountant.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, TurboTax for all of your tax needs.
I had that brief hesitation just because I was not 100% sure if Rev would have been cool with me throwing a your at him. Because some people are touchy about it. That being said, let's talk some outro feedback stuff. We're going to start with Warner this time because I feel like Warner has had a few notes for me, but he's been holding for effectively the end of the current chapter. And now that we have hit that point, let's see what Warner has to say.
I think overall it's been quite enjoyable. I still have a couple of hesitations with some of the stuff that is
Railroaded.
nebulous, I guess, unclear. I understand that there has to be some mystery. The players cannot have perfect knowledge by any stretch, but at least a larger appearance of knowing what we're doing might be helpful at times.
Okay. I've definitely been obscuring that because I didn't want much information and a tendency of not easily judging how much you should have, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, I will say that in this episode in particular, you have been given a snapshot of what is going on between Van Breeze. So for the time being, yes, that's what you're dealing with all of this shit that Davros had thrown at you, specifically so he could go dig something out of the dirt on one of. Now, that doesn't give you much more than as far as moving forward. At some point, obviously, there'll be the confrontation with Hannett, his assets versus your assets. But what happens after that? That part I have very, very open ended. I don't know if that's like helpful or
Yep, that's helpful.
positive feedback to what you're saying. Um, Getting from way back when, like getting from Moguros to here, that insight now might give you a little bit of light for things that have happened in the past. Uh, Also, and I hate to rely on this, but it's certainly a certain amount of creative liberties and a certain amount of not necessarily knowing the 40K universe and all the attendant lore as well as one might, should, or could, especially in the aspect of being kind of game. But I do try to keep it as best I can, given the way.
I have a surface level of knowledge of lore that goes deeper in specific places in regards to Warhammer 40K. So I'm don't if sometimes some people may think that I come across as knowing all the lore, but I don't want anybody to actually think that I think that.
I don't think there's
It's
any
just,
one or two people that know.
but if there are specific areas that I know pretty well, and so like saying that, hey, operating in this area of space without a warrant of trade and claiming ownership over worlds in the name of the Imperium are strictly things that a rogue trader can do, not just any schmuck.
Correct. And I think when I envisioned Davros Hannah as your primary antagonist, I didn't want him to be just another rogue trader. And some of the rules that I followed, he ended up not being. But then in the aspect of how is he capable of having this claim? It's basically it's mine until somebody says it's not. That's more or less what's happened. It's ruled, as you may or may not have noticed, because people who fear for their families' lives ruled with
Mhm.
something of an iron hand. That's not entirely common, but to some degree it is in the Imperium. Usually, your family is not destroyed or incarcerated for things that you have done. Usually in the Imperium. Whereas,
Laughs and exterminatus.
yes, no, I listen. I know there are plenty, and when I say plenty, there's plenty of examples where that's not the case. uh,
But generally speaking, yes, you're right. He's ruling more like
Really more
an
like North
ancient,
Korean dictator.
right?
Not to put too much of a fine point on it, but he's basically a dictator, and he's like, "Fuck you, United States! I will burn your fucking country to the ground in order to get my things," and then claim that the rest of the Pacific Rim is mine. Basically, Warner,
The
if
Lex
you had other,
Imperialis.
oh, sorry, go
The
ahead.
Lex Imperialis can be a vindictive little shit. Apparently, if your court, your trial takes too long,
Uh-huh.
they will just transfer all those crimes over to your next of kin.
But I feel like that's more of an administrative decision than it is because
Well, I mean,
you know what I
the
mean. Like,
administratum's got to get its money somehow.
well,
It's going to squeeze
so
somebody.
like everything in the Imperium takes fucking generations to accomplish
Yes.
any damn way. So if your trial takes that long to conclude, we need justice. Justice must be delivered, and that just means that all of your kids will now inherit the sins of the father in this very real case. That's not the same thing as, well, you thumbed your nose at the emperor's image, so you, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunts, you're all going to.
Well, actually, it would be more like you thumbed your nose at the emperor's statue or at the emperor's image, and we don't know who taught you that. So everyone is a that is in your family.
Well, it's now that's
It's-
like your
it's a-
entire village is going to go get locked up. I digress. I don't know if Warner had other notes, and I didn't want to take too
Nope,
much.
that's the main thing. Is just that there's been some stuff that has been kind of vague and nebulous, and we are a group of people who have been around, and even if we're wrong, we should at least think we know things sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, here's what we know to the best of our ability, or to the best of the information we have available.
I've definitely tried to paint things in that same limiting light. I don't want to give you all the answers. I want you to have a certain amount of information to work with so that you form your own opinions and then find out perhaps you did miss it. Unfortunately, I'm not the best at doing that, and some of these things are pretty cut and dry. Those are the bad guys, we go kill them. Oh shit, they weren't really the bad guys. You know what I mean? So, using that as I think to some degree, even though maybe I could have done it better and a little bit more lore knowledge, the fact that Annette was not a trader could have been done differently or different results. That was definitely meant to be a reveal of, where you guys had a little bit of information and misconstrued it. But the impact that has in the grand scheme of things doesn't necessarily have that, I think. Because ultimately, you're still going to go shoot his face right off.
It absolutely does have a huge impact because
Okay.
I can go back to Footfall. I can speak to the inquisitorial representative of the Empire and basically get a writ of censure that he not only has no authority but is traitor to the Imperium, and that should carry weight with his entire populace that he actually has basically everybody in his chain of command that he has no real authority.
I see where you go. Okay, I see. Yeah, I could see that, and so that actually does work in your favor as well. Other than the part where you have to go all the way back to Footfall, but also it's the Imperium, so you expect. I'm joking about how long it takes to get anything.
Mostly.
Yeah. Warner, for clarity, was there anything else you wanted to share? Feedback, outro.
Nope.
You know what? Since we started with Warner, let's go to Alterius. Alterius, what do you got?
Nothing much. This session was good. The chapter was really good. Got a couple good combats in. Uh, more space combat was always fun.
I really
The
do
the
like.
grenade fumble was hilarious.
Oh my god. Not for nothing, when I set up that combat scenario, I knew I was kind of railroading things a little bit, and I knew it was literally meant to be an actual, like, that ambush was designed specifically from my limited combat experience, right? Not that I've been ambushed like that, but like the things that we train for in the military. So it was absolutely first couple of guys throw grenades, the rest of you guys mow down the kill zone with automatic gunfire, and your only response at that point was to get the fuck out of the kill box. That was the only way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I botched the fucking grenades. And I'm
I was
just
gonna
like,
say,
fuck. Well, there. At least now I don't have to worry about murdering the whole fucking party in one combat.
so yeah, the encounters have been better. I
Yeah.
like them.
And also, I think I've mentioned this before. I do actually kind of like this space combat system. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's got just enough crunch to make it interesting, but not too much so that you get bogged down in details. And it's simplistic enough, mostly, that you can get in there and shoot shit at each other, and eventually there's a winner. There's not, depending on the situation.
The DM for my traveler group made the mistake of including space combat, and one of our players was a literal no shit NASA space nerd, and he was ready to do all these orbital mechanics
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
shit. And the DM just took one look at all the rules for them, like, no, we're not doing that. We're doing Star Wars. Yeah, engine turn off. You stop moving.
I actually really like that fact, but yes, when you take unfortunately with many game systems, when you take the real world, especially when it comes to something as complex as orbital mechanics, and try to put it on paper and put it on a 2D battle map, you're fucked right off the bat.
No.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
There's only in my experience and
games
knowledge.
have always stood as an abstraction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, chess is an abstraction of military combat.
Yeah, exactly. The problem, in my experience and my knowledge, the problem comes especially when you're looking at something like orbital mechanics and spaceships flying around in space, trying to represent that in a realistic manner. Number one, the third dimension doesn't exist on paper. Now, there's a couple of different
Unless
games.
you're playing 3D chess.
There is that, yes. There's also different ways to denote three-dimensional movement on a two-dimensional plane using different markers or different objects on the board. For instance, Attack Vector Tactical, Saganami Island Tactical Simulator, I think is the word. Birds of Prey, one or two others. I can't think of all of them, and these all come from. Excuse me, they all come from Ad Astra Games, which may or may not still exist. But what they do is on a hex board, you have a block that your ship sits on. Well, one, you have tiles that denote positive or negative elevation change. So you have your XY on the board itself, and then you have tiles stacking your ship up that are either positive or negative Z. And then there's also another block that changes the angle of what your ship is at, as opposed to being level with the ground or the playing surface, to denote, how to account for different firing arcs and things of that nature. But that gets really complicated really fast, and it turns what could otherwise be a 2 or 3 hour game into a 6 hour game until people learn all of these different mechanics that the creators have put together in a way to, as accurately as humanly possible, represent and recreate three-dimensional movement on a two-dimensional plane. I've never played it. I've looked at it. I'm actually curious to see it in action, but I don't have the ability to show other people how to do it. I'm not that intelligent. I am intelligent. Don't get me wrong. But knowing a thing and then conveying that thing to another can be two different animals, and this is one of those situations.
Yeah, and there's also a difference between average intelligence and genius intelligence.
Significantly. And I am neither average nor genius. Just to be clear.
So you're even lower than that.
That's what I was implying, yes.
The funny thing about average intelligence, it means half of the people are stupider than that.
Omar,
Yeah.
give yourself some credit. You're at least average.
I am at least average. I am. But I'm smart enough to know. I mean, honestly, I am smart enough to know what my limitations are. And that should,
Well,
in
that
theory.
puts you above average right there.
Exactly. I'm at least average intelligence.
Well, no,
at the
that
very least.
knowing your limitations puts you at above average wisdom.
I see. He tricked me there, chat. He tricked me. He has revealed my true intelligence as being misunderstood wisdom. That's what it is.
Wisdom is to be preferred to intelligence. Intelligence is good, but wisdom is better.
Wisdom is knowing when your intelligence is applicable.
Mm-hmm.
That said, Alterios, did you have anything else? I kind of steamrolled a little bit off of that, so I don't want to. Again, I have a bad habit of taking.
That was it. It was good stuff.
I'm glad you remember the grenade for Fluffle.
I'm just gonna toss this in this elevator and oh shit.
I mean, it was supposed to be such a simple ambush, and it just went to shit. Not just one fucked up grenade throw, but two fucked up grenades. I was like,
In the
God
One of
damn
those
it.
fucked up grenades still hit one of the captains.
Yeah.
Reinhardt, who was absolutely prepared to dash out and find a spot and shoot somebody real quick, was like, if it's
Has
going
a
to go
dash
like
out.
this, I'm just going to stand here
Yeah.
and tear into people.
It was wild. Darius, what do you got? Feedback, outro, comments?
Well, I suggest you refrain from using the term pull the string in the future.
Hey, but pull string gun go
Because-
boom is a legit phrase.
But that is not where my mind went.
I don't know what to tell you, brother. There was a time my name on my own phone was Gun Go Boom. It comes from pull string gun go boom because I literally pull a lanyard and suddenly there's a big loud crack and 100-pound chunk of metal goes flying a very long range. And a parabolic flight plan. At any rate.
Yeah, not
I hear you, though. I hear you.
When I hear pull the string.
No, I hear you.
I
Listen,
understand.
pull the string in your sweater or something song.
So
That's also not where my mind went.
So when you talk about pull the string, you mean like a yo-yo, right?
Yes, that's what he means.
Sure.
What about the game, though? Let's not talk about the things that come out of my mouth, because we all know some wild ass shit has come out of my mouth at any point in time.
Especially if you're a spitter. But
Okay.
About that.
Rev, what do you got?
Oh, nothing.
Rev has also 400 dice keyed up over here, so I'm gonna do this before he gets a chance to do it. That is it for us here tonight. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, we had a slightly less lengthy show this evening. We kind of basically just had a bit of a wrap up, but that's fine. We also had a bit of a late start, so I wasn't too terribly concerned about it. It is what it is, and I still had fun, and evidently they did as well.
Fun is good.
To be fair, I set it to 350, so somebody else ramped that up a bit.
I don't know what to even say to that. I'm just going to let it go. Stay safe out there, my friends. This world is a crazy, grimdark world, so make sure you're doing what you got to do to take care of you. As for me and mine, we are out of here. Have a good one. See you next time.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Tschüss.
99 red balloons.